The time this story takes place is between the second and third season, so stuff like Trixie's and Twilight's battle, Discord being reformed, and Twilight becoming a princess has yet to happen. My Little Gravity Falls is Magic, by Gamer Brother 777. Chapter 1 Welcome to Ponyville. It was a beautiful Sunday morning in Equestria. There wasn't a cloud in the sky and birds were chirping their wonderful music. It was that kind of day where it seemed nothing could go wrong, just the special day that came around, once a year, that was just absolutely perfect. In Ponyville it was great as well, all the ponies seemed to have something to do. Twilight Sparkle was in Golden Oaks Library just on another shelving day. Rainbow Dash was joined Twilight in library, not organizing but reading another classic Daring Do book. Pinkie Pie was at Super Cube Corner managing the front counter, while the cakes were in the back working on another delicious cake. Rarity was busy designing a new line of outfits, to be worn by a lot of important ponies attending the next Grand Galloping Gala. Applejack was in the midst of apple bucking with more or less help from the Cutie Mark Crusaders who kept falling over each when they tried to butt the apple trees. Fluttershy was walking through Sweet Apple Acres with Angel. I hope Applejack has some apples and carrots that I can have. She trotted through the gate up to the bright red barn. She knocked on the doors with her hoof. Big Macintosh came to answer her knock. "Eye up," the stallion said to whoever knocked at the door. "Hello Big Mac," Fluttershy said to him. "Do you know where I could find Applejack?" He pointed off in the distance toward the apple orchard where Fluttershy could see the orange pony, not too far from her location. "Thank you," she politely responded to him. Big Mac nodded his head in a way to mean no problem. Fluttershy walked over to meet Applejack. Angel began to grow restless on her back. "Oh, Angel, no need to be fussy." Angel stood up at that remark. He began to get irritated. "Would a nice massage keep you more relaxed?" she told him. Angel's ears perked up, and he agreed to not be so grumpy. Fluttershy reached to where Applejack was. "Why howdy Fluttershy, what brings you here?" The farm pony said to her friend. "I just here to see if you have any apples and carrots for my little friends," Fluttershy said. "No problem, Super Cube." She whistled for the Cutie Mark Crusaders. The three fillies quickly ran up to where the two ponies were talking. Cutie Mark Crusader reporting in. They all said in unison, "We'll think y'all can go and get but a dozen apples and carrots." Applejack told her sister and two friends. "Of course sis," Apple Bloom responded. Cutie Mark Crusaders, to the orchards. The three fillies dashed off to fetch the foods. "How much should I pay for the apples and carrots?" Fluttershy asked Applejack. "Oh, don't worry about it Super Cube, it's on the house," Applejack told her. "Oh no, Applejack, it wouldn't be right. I should have to pay." "Okay, how's about 10 bits?" Fluttershy smiled and reached into her saddlebag, and brought out a little bag with bits inside. She put it into her hoof and she gave it to Applejack. "That's sweet of you to pay, no wonder you the element of kindness." Fluttershy blushed at that statement as the Cutie Mark Crusaders ran in with the order. "Here you go a dozen apples," Scootaloo said excitedly. "And here's you carrots." Sweetie Belle broke in. They helped Fluttershy to put the foods into her saddlebag. Angel quickly grabbed one of the carrots, and started to eat it. "Angel, you should not ruin your appetite," Fluttershy told the bunny. Angel quickly finished up the carrot, and acted like he had no idea what she was talking about. The group all shared a laugh. "Bye Fluttershy," Applejack said as the yellow Pegasus was leaving. The Cutie Mark Crusaders waved along with her. Fluttershy waved back at her friends, and made her way back to the entrance. "Bye Big Mac," she said as she passed him. He had a hammer in his mouth, and could not respond, but he did wave goodbye as well. Fluttershy trotted to Ponyville. She also had to stop at Super Cube Corner, to pick up her carrot cupcake, that was a surprise for Angel's upcoming birthday. As she entered the building she was greeted by Pinkie Pie. "Hey Fluttershy, what you got in the bag?" she asked quickly. "Just some apples and carrots for my little friends," Fluttershy said to Pinkie Pie. "Oh, that's sweet, so what kind of sweets do you need?" Pinkie said while trying not to laugh at her wordplay. "Will I have a special order?" Fluttershy told her, handed her a slip of paper. Pinky read over the paper. Okie dokie Loki. Just wait here, I'll be right back. Pinky ran through the door and quickly came back out with a little box, wrapped up in a ribbon. Here you go, she said, giving a wink to Fluttershy. Here's your surprise. Fluttershy put the box into her saddlebag. She gave another little bag of bits to Pinkie Pie. Angel tried to get a peek at what lay inside the box, but she told him to not ruin the surprise. Goodbye, Fluttershy, Pinky said excitedly, waving goodbye to her friend. Fluttershy waved goodbye as well as she left Sugar Cube Corner. She made her way down the street, and then started to walk back to her house. She left the town, and started to walk down the path to lead to her cottage. As Fluttershy and Angel were walking along path with her house in sight, suddenly a green light formed around her saddlebag. Fluttershy noticed this, and stopped a second to see what was happening. Right as she turned around, everything came out of the bag. The apples, the carrots, and even the carrot cupcake flew out of the bag. Oh, no, all the stuff, Fluttershy said as she started to fly up to chase the floating items. Please, don't go away, if you do my little friends will go hungry. And as mysteriously as the foods started to float, the foods dropped to the ground. Oh no. Fluttershy saw the box falling, and flew fast to grab it. Luckily she caught it before it hit the ground. She put it back into her bag and looked around. Hello, she asked, wondering what had just happened. She felt like she had just been pranked. She felt like crying, but Angel started to reassure her that it was okay. You're right, Angel, Fluttershy said as she wiped away a single tear. It was just a harmless prank. I'm okay, you're okay, and the surprise is also okay. Fluttershy and Angel started to go pick up all the other fruits. Angel quickly grabbed another carrot, and ate it before the yellow Pegasus knew. Eventually they had gotten all the items back into her saddlebag. Then Fluttershy walked to her cottage, and put the bag on a seat in the inside, and she took the carrot cupcake, and decided to hide it in her room, while Angel was not looking. As she made her back downstairs, she gave a carrot to Angel. Here you go, you've been very good. When she did, a lot of her little friends came out to greet her. Hello there, here I've got you all some healthy food to eat. She distributed some of the apples and carrot amongst them. She took the rest, and went outside to the animals in her backyard. Here you go, friends. As she was giving the foods them, Fluttershy noticed something out in the opening between her backyard and the Everfree forest. She couldn't make out what it was, but for some reason was very interested in seeing what it was. As she finished feeding the animals, Fluttershy flew to the area where the object was. When she got there, it turned out that it was two living things instead of one object. Fluttershy gasped as there were two creatures that she had never seen before. They were sleeping. One was lying on its back, and the other was lying on its stomach. She wasn't sure what she was to do. She could wake them up, but they might be upset over it. She backed up a bit, and was about to wake them up, but one of them stretched and Fluttershy got startled. She decided not to wake them. I know what I'll do. I'll go get Twilight and all my friends, and show them these creatures. Twilight will know what they are. She flew off to go get her friends, and tell them of her newly found creatures. Chapter 2 Welcome to Gravity Falls. Grunkle Stan stumbled into the Mystery Shack living room holding a pint of ice cream and a box of tissues. He sat lazily into the chair, and was about to turn on the TV when his niece and nephew walked through the doorway. Hey kids, how's it going? Grunkle Stan said. Do you guys want to head somewhere else? We're bored, Grunkle Stan, Mabel said as she and Dipper slouched onto the floor, lying on their stomachs. There's nothing around here that we want to do. Yay, that sounds interesting. So about you guys leaving? Grunkle Stan, Dipper started. Do you have anything we can do? Some chores, even? See, we're that bored that we've been reduced to begging to do chores. Grunkle Stan coughed and said, why don't you kids go to the attic and not bother me for about 3 hours? The twins lazily jumped off their stomachs and walked to the stairs up to their room. All right, time for the Duchess Approves, Grunkle Stan said excitedly, turning on the television. The twins laid on their own beds. Waddles waddled into their bedroom, going up to Mabel's bed. "Aw Waddles, your cuteness takes off some of the day's boredom," Mabel said, while she happily squished up his face. He started to lick her face. She started giggling, and got excited. Then her feet started to kick the wall. Her kicking caused the shelf above her bed to shake. Then the tattered book with the six-fingered hand fell off the shelf, landing next to Mabel. She lifted the book. "Hey Dipper, find something interesting in your journal for us to do." She threw the book at Dipper, which landed open on his face. Dipper pulled the book off his face and looked at the page it was open to. "Hey Mabel, come look at this." Mabel quickly leaped off her bed to see what her brother had seen. "What's up, Dip?" "Something about a universe of only pigs." "Nothing about that, but it is something about an alternate universe," the boy said. "But here's what it does say," Dipper read aloud. "During my investigation of the Gravity Falls woods, I have come across a portal in a cave to where I'm unclear, but my theory is that it may be an alternate universe which would explain how many of the creatures got to Gravity Falls. Though I will not enter due to what may lie on the other side, I will regularly study it to see what may come out, or go into the portal." Mabel's eyes suddenly got wide. "Dipper, do you know what this means?" "We ignore the book and just continue to not bother Grunkle Stan," Dipper answered. "No, silly," Mabel said as she playfully pushed Dipper. "We find the cave and go into the other universe." "Mabel, that's a terrible idea," Dipper quickly pointed out. "Who knows what could be on the other side of the portal? What if they're not alternate universes? What if it's like a black hole that will just kill us when we enter it?" "Come on Dipper, where's your spirit of adventure? Don't you want to find alien pig universe? Where's your sense of certain death, Mabel?" Dipper nervously said. "What would rather do, bro? Go find the portal to another world, or stay here and not bother Stan for 2 hours? 3 hours?" Grunkle Stan shouted from the living room as Mabel gave her brother an irritated glare. "I guess so," he said, "but we don't know how to find it." Mabel grabbed the book out of Dipper's hands and quickly skimmed it over. She then pulled out a folded piece of paper. "Look Dipper, a map to find the portal." Mabel unfolded the paper showing a map of Gravity Falls, and a trail with a big X alongside the mountain. Mabel pointed to the map. "See Dipper, here is the mystery shack and the trail is just along the forest path." "Mabel, I just don't think it a good idea," Dipper now pleaded with his sister. "Well, I'm going, and you can come with me or stay here." Mabel left the room and ran down the stairs, but was stopped by Dipper. "Wait Mabel, I'll come with you now just to see the portal." Mabel grabbed his hand and pulled him outside. The twins stood just outside the mystery shack, Mabel examining the map, trying to find which way they should enter the woods. It was quiet until the twins heard a rustling of leaves. "That way we go," Mabel said, pointing in the direction of the rustling. Mabel, are you sure that is the right way? Maybe I should take a look at it," Dipper said as he began to reach for the map. Mabel slapped his hand away. "I know this is the right way, I can feel it." She began to walk off in that direction with Dipper slowly trailing behind her. After about what seemed like an eternity of walking for Dipper, he excused himself to quickly tie his shoes. "Hurry up, I must know what is in that portal," Mabel said, clutching the folder paper close to her chest. "I'm doing it," Dipper sternly responded, but really he was taking his time as to stall their process to the portal. After 5 minutes Dipper finished his shoe tying. "Are you done now, Dipper?" Mabel firmly asked. "Yeah, I'm done," Dipper replied with an upset tone. He uneagerly followed, knowing his plan to stall their trip weren't working. Wait Mabel, I think I left my book back at the shack. We should go back to get it, I don't know, just in case." "No you didn't." Mabel pulled out the book. "I grabbed it, so you wouldn't want to go back." "No, quit stalling, we're going to find the portal and you're going to like it." Mabel grabbed Dipper's shirt collar and started to drag him. Mabel walked more into the forest with the map in one hand and Dipper's collar in the other. She had to drag Dipper across many tree roots and plants that Dipper eventually just started to walk, because his shoes soles were wearing down. Soon the twins found an open area between the trees and the mountain. Soon Mabel got really excited. "I think I found the location of the portal," Mabel excitedly told her brother. "Where is it then?" Dipper said. "Looks like I was right. This whole adventure was completely pointless. Now Mabel, I want you to say I was right." Mabel had already left Dipper standing, talking to himself. When he realized where she was, he ran up to see her now at the mouth of the cave which housed the portal. The twins now just stood there for a few seconds until Mabel broke the silence. Well, let's go jump in it, Mabel sang quickly into the cave. Dipper grabbed her shoulder. Mabel, we don't just go jumping into random portals in the middle of the woods, until we make sure it's safe. The twins stepped up, to be a few inches from the portal. I don't think it's a safe idea, Mabel. I'm not going in it. Dipper firmly stepped back. That's okay, Dipper, you're too chicken to go in anyway, Mabel mockingly replied. What? I'm not chicken, Dipper said directly to his twin. Bok, 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 Mabel sounded out. She put her arms on her hips, and pretended to eat food off the floor. I'm a chicken and my name's Dipper. Dipper got angry. I'll show you who's chicken. Dipper ran at full speed into the portal. Mabel quickly stepped into the portal after him. The twins popped out of the portal in another damp cave. Mabel got up on the floor and looked around. She went to the mouth of the cave, and saw a forest. Dipper, look, it's a different forest. Dipper got up, and came to see what his sister was talking about. Whoa, where are we? Dipper asked. A better question would be, to say when are we? Mabel rebutted. We didn't time travel, Mabel, we teleported or something. Dipper told his sister. Well, no point in just standing around, Dipper. I'm going to go in the forest and you can stay here with your chicken self. I'm not scared, Mabel, I'm coming with you, Dipper sternly said to his twin. The twins walked into the forest interested for what may lie within. As Mabel excitedly admired anything and everything in the forest, Dipper kept a close eye on them to be aware of anything that may pop out at them. Mabel and Dipper continued their walk when suddenly Mabel spotted something that appeared to show intelligent life. Hey Dipper, Mabel pointed out. I think there is like a building or something over there in the distance. Let's go see it. Dipper quickly grabbed his sister's sweater. Maybe you made me jump into a portal to who knows where. We are not going to see any more mysterious buildings, especially in a forest in some place we don't know. Alright Dipper, no need to flip out. She giggled at his bit of anger. Let's just go to the clearing over there instead, as she pointed to the opposite area of where the building was. The two kids continued their walk to the opening. The kids were about a few meters to the clearing, when suddenly there was a branch that snapped. Whoa. Mabel, did you hear that? Dipper said suddenly, looking behind him. Dipper, it's probably just the wind. Mabel happily replied. You know that when someone says something is just the wind, it's not the wind, Dipper said. Mabel shrugged. Wind is a weird thing, Dipper, you just don't understand. Dipper rolled his eyes at Mabel's response. Dipper ran up to catch Mabel, but soon he realized that he and Mabel had just reached the opening. They looked around, and they saw a cottage, not too far from them. Hey, look over there, Mabel said. It's a cute little cottage. Let's see if anyone is there. Mabel, what did we just talk about when visiting mysterious buildings? Dipper said to Mabel. You said not to visit weird buildings in a forest. Mabel rebutted. Fine, Mabel, we'll visit the cottage, Dipper said with a shrug. The twins walked out of the outskirt forest, and into the field. Suddenly their walk became much slower and the twins started to nod off. Hey Mabel, Dipper paused to yawn. Do you feel really tired all of a sudden? Mabel had already fell on her back fast asleep. Dipper fell onto his knees, and eventually on his stomach, trying to keep his eyes open. When he tried, he was able to keep his eyes open to see a yellow figure in the distance until his eyes were completely shut. Chapter 3, Gideon and Trixie. Gideon stumbled through the woods of Gravity Falls with the tantrum face on. He kept mumbling to himself, those cursed pines. He carried with himself the tattered book with the six-fingered hand. I have to get to the shack. Dipper thinks he can keep me away from Mabel. That boy has got another thing coming. Gideon kept walking, until he had the mystery shack in his sight. He quickly hid into a shrub as to not be seen. He sat on the ground, and opened the book, quickly flipping the pages until something useful would appear on the page. Suddenly Gideon heard the mystery shack front door open. Oh my goodness, the little boy said. He turned around quickly, to see the twins leaving the old building. Why, most those two leave the shack now. Gideon closed his book, and dashed into the forest. He ran quickly as to not let the twins see him. After about 5 minutes of running, Gideon tripped on a rock, and started to roll. Ouch! My word, that was a nasty trip. Gideon went to examine what he tripped over. He saw the rock, he fell over, and picked it up to throw it, but was stopped when he saw something he never would expect to ever see again. It was his amulet the Mabel had destroyed. My, it seems I found my amulet, he said with a smirk. He took off his white tie, and put on the amulet. Now I have the power once more, but how? Gideon took out his book, and flipped to the page with the title, Magical Amulet, and read aloud the description. Magical Amulet, this device has powers beyond normal. Gideon started, but he already has read this part before, so he skipped ahead. Another fact about the amulet is that it cannot be fully destroyed. If it is ever broken, the amulet will regenerate back, and the place where it was last found. Gideon started to laugh, but it was cut short when he heard Mabel. Are you done now, Dipper? Yay, I'm done. Gideon heard Dipper reply to his sister. Darn it. Those twins are still out here. I mustn't let them find me. Gideon quickly ran deeper into the forest. He ran until he was at the opening next to a high mountain cliff. Gideon felt trapped as he knew the twins would soon close in on him. He looked around for an escape, but suddenly a cave in the mountain caught his attention. I'll hide myself in the cave until those pesky twins pass. He ran to the cave, and held his head out to see if they were coming. He heard the bushes rustling, and started to walk backwards into the cave. Unknown to him, a portal was on the cave wall behind him. He cautiously kept moving backwards, until he accidentally fell into the wormhole. Gideon was spit out of the portal into another cave. He rolled a bit that got up off the ground. He brushed some of the dirt off his light blue suit. My word, Gideon said as he looked around, I appear to be in another cave, but where in the world am I? Gideon walked to the mouth of the cave to find another forest. Unlike the Gravity Falls forest, this one didn't have pine trees. It was more of a jungle to Gideon. The little boy started into the forest. Wonder where I am. Maybe I'll find somebody on the other side of this jungle. Gideon kept walking into the forest for a while, until he decided to rest. Then suddenly Gideon was surprised to hear a voice within the trees. Who goes there? What are you? What is your name? Gideon was nervous to respond at first until a shadowed figure emerged from the trees. It was a blue unicorn dressed in a hat and cape. My goodness, a unicorn. I must be very far from home or either having another dream. Gideon said, examining the pony. Why, the great and powerful Trixie has never seen a creature like you before. What is your name? What kind of creature are you? The unicorn said in a wondering tone. Well, I'm a human, and you may call me Lil Gideon or Gideon, he replied. I take it your name be Trixie, and you'd be a unicorn. You'd be correct with both of those assumptions. The great and powerful Trixie has never heard of a human before. Where do you come from? I come from Gravity Falls, he said. Where do you live? The great and powerful Trixie lives where she pleases. For now she lives in her wagon. Does Lil Gideon have a problem with it? Gideon shook his head. Good, now you should follow Trixie to her home. Gideon was hesitant to follow, but agreed nonetheless. The two walked deeper into the forest. Eventually they came almost to the other side of the forest, where the clearing could almost be made out. Gideon began to ask Trixie more questions. So are there other unicorns in this world? Do you have magical abilities? Yes, there are many others, but Trixie needs none of them. She can take care of herself. Trixie also does have magic. She is the most magical unicorn in all of Equestria. Equestria? Is that the name of this land? Why, yes. But the ponies here continue to shun the great and powerful Trixie. They're all just jealous of her magical abilities. Why do the other ponies shun you? Gideon asked curiously. Trixie was upstaged at a magic battle which was unfairly played, but Trixie should get into that right now. She must remain cool, Trixie said, trying not to get angry. Eventually the two arrived at Trixie's house. This is where Trixie lives. Is it not the greatest house ever? Gideon was about to answer, when he heard the giggles of Mabel outside, in the distance outside. Darn it, he angrily said to himself. What is the problem? Is Trixie's home not pleasing? Trixie asked. No, it's not the house. It's my mortal enemy and his beloved sister followed me here, and they intend to ruin my plans for revenge, Gideon angrily replied. Let's us take a look at these enemies, Trixie said. She and Gideon both looked out the back window. To find the twins, not too far from the wagon. Those are your enemies' place. The great and powerful Trixie could defeat them in her sleep. Soon the twins left the area, and continued in the direction they were heading. Gideon had an idea. How about you and I follow them as to see what they are up to? White Trixie has no problem with that idea. The two waited until the twins were far enough away where the twins would not be able to see them. They soon quickly were walking behind until one of the two accidentally stepped on a branch. Both Trixie and Gideon quickly jumped behind a tree out of sight. Mabel, did you hear that? Dipper said, looking behind him. Dipper, it's just the wind. You know, whenever someone says something is just the wind, it's not the wind. Mabel just shrugged it off and continued on. Dipper slowly and cautiously followed her. Gideon and Trixie got up from their hiding spot, and at even slower pace continued to follow the twins. Eventually Dipper and Mabel reached a clearing just outside the forest. Trixie and Gideon ducked behind a couple of bushes just on the outskirt of the forest. Gideon then told Trixie, use some of your magic on those two. I want to see what kind of magic you can use. The great and powerful Trixie will show you, Gideon. Trixie took off her hat and a glowing light shone around her horn. Soon a light beam came off the horn, and flew towards the two kids. Soon after a while Mabel fell onto her back, and Dipper landed on his knees, until he fell over onto his stomach. My goodness, Trixie, did you kill them? Gideon responded in an awkward tone. Trixie may be great and powerful, but she doesn't possess the power to kill any creature. Trixie may be powerful, but she is no murderer. What did you do to them, then? White Trixie only put them into a sleep for. Trixie trailed off, when she saw a yellow Pegasus walking up to the clearing. Ah, it's one of those cursed ponies. What's wrong? Gideon asked as he looked to see the Pegasus walking. The pony over there is a friend of my bitter enemy, Twilight Sparkle. Trixie angry said. Her name is Flitter something. Trixie is not sure. I think I'll handle this, Gideon said with a smirk. He grabbed his amulet around his neck, and it started to grow green. Trixie watched in awe as Gideon used his telekinesis to levitate apples and carrots about Fluttershy's saddlebag. Wow, Trixie was unaware that humans had magical powers as well. Not all humans, only me, because I have this amulet. Gideon said as he let the items drop he was levitating as to show Trixie his necktie. With these powers you can be very powerful, almost as powerful as Trixie. Trixie said. Suddenly Gideon got an idea. I propose that you, Trixie, and that I team up together, to help each other take down our enemies. Separate we are not very strong, but together we'll be unstoppable. We can take down the twins and all the ponies who shunned you. That sounds like an excellent plan. We will go to Canterlot, that is the capital of Equestria, and we will overthrow the princes, and become the leaders of Equestria. A princess. This may be easier than I thought. Gideon happily said. Trixie must warn you, Princess Celestia is also rather powerful. She is a unicorn and a Pegasus. An alicorn is the correct title to be called. No need to worry, Gideon reassured Trixie. Like I said, with our combined magical abilities we will be stronger than any living creature. Trixie agrees. We could easily take down anyone. So what shall we call this new team we have formed? Trixie asked. I think we'll call ourselves the Magical Duo. Gideon told Trixie. An excellent name, Trixie said joyously. Now let us head off to Canterlot. The two new teammates quickly dashed back into the Everfree Forest to Trixie's wagon, and then the two were going to head to Canterlot. Chapter 4: A Letter from the Princess. And I just found them right here. Are you sure? It just doesn't seem likely. Did you find anything in your books about them, Twilight? No, it's like these creatures don't even exist. Maybe they're aliens. Pinkie Pie, don't be ridiculous. Dipper woke slowly. He yawned and rubbed his eyes. At first his vision was a bit blurred, and could only make out colors, but then he saw 6 ponies standing around. He gave a confused look as if he was dreaming. Look, one of them is getting up, he heard someone say. What? Who said that? Dipper tiredly said. Look, it talked, another voice said. Suddenly he jumped up, when he saw one of the ponies talk. He quickly started to shake his twin. Mabel, Mabel, get up, he aggressively said to his sister. Mabel slowly stretched her arms and legs. What's wrong? I was having the best dream. Just look, Mabel. Dipper shouted. Mabel sat up off the ground, and looked around to see 6 ponies standing around watching the two of them. She then hugged her brother. Thank you, Dipper, you got me ponies. Why, what fascinating creature, the purple pony said. Whoa. They talk, the little girl said. Of course we talk, the cyan pony said. What kind of creatures are you? We're humans. Mabel politely responded. We should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Mabel and this guy right here is Dipper. Hello, I'm Twilight Sparkle. Twilight responded. I'm Applejack. Fluttershy. Rarity. My name's Rainbow Dash. And I'm Pinkie Pie, and you two can be my first human friends. I'd like that very much. Mabel said with a smile. Dipper just stood there with his mouth wide open. He was still in shock. He was still trying to produce words he could say, but nothing would come out. Then he spoke. Excuse me for, like a second. Could I have a word with my sister? He pulled Mabel to the side. The 6 ponies also decided to huddle to talk as well. Mabel, we can't stay here. We need to go back. Dipper told Mabel. Okay, Mabel started. We don't need to go back, but we probably should. And why? Don't you want to stay here? It is talking ponies. They're not pigs, but still. Because Dipper trailed off, because he could not think of a reason. We just have to go back. What do you think, Shwee? Applejack asked. Can we trust them? We should trust them. They're my new human friends. Pinkie Pie said joyously. But what if humans can't be trusted? Rainbow Dash interrupted. I think we should at least give them a chance. Fluttershy told the group. I agree with Fluttershy, Rarity said. But we should keep a close eye just in case. Twilight nodded with each of her friends' statements. The twins and ponies rejoined into one group. We've talked it over, Twilight told them, and you are welcome to visit here. Thank you, but we really shout. Dipper's lips were pinched together by Mabel. We would be honored to visit here. What is here? This place is called Equestria. Twilight said. The capital is Canterlot. Rarity joined in. We all live in Ponyville though. Pinkie said, hopping up and down. We also have princesses who lead over us. Fluttershy added. Their names are Princess Celestia and Princess Luna. Applejack continued. They're alicorns. Rainbow Dash finished off. Ollie, what? Mabel questioned with a confused look. Alicorns, Twilight emphasized. It means that they have wings and horns. Do you all have wings and horns? Dipper finally joined in. No, the purple pony responded. Some ponies have just a horn, unicorns, like Rarity and I. And some have wings, Rainbow happily added. Me and Fluttershy are Pegasus. And some have none. We're earth ponies, but that does mean we aren't fun. Pinkie told them. Enough about us, you said your names were Mabel and Dipper. Applejack questioned. Tell us about where you are from and about you. Well, we come from Gravity Falls, Mabel started. We're twins. We live in a shack in the woods with our great uncle Stan. You live in a shack? That interesting, Rarity said. Her disgust soon became question. Say, Mabel, have you ever been here before? You look familiar. Not that I know of, Mabel told her. I just have that kind of face. So anyways, Dipper said, we found a portal in the woods, and we both just went in. That seems so scary. Fluttershy said, shaking a bit. Yay, Dipper was chicken. Mabel laughed. I was not chicken. Dipper firmly told the group. Whoa there, big boy, the farm pony said. No need for all these tension. Yay, you should be braver like me. Rainbow Dash boldly said. Applejack rolled her eyes. And after we came out of the portal in another cave into the woods over there, and then we were going to go over to the cottage to see if anyone was there, but for some reason we fell asleep. Dipper finished up his thought. So are you like stuck here now? Rainbow asked. I don't think so, Dipper replied. I think we can just go back anytime we want. Ooh, if you're in no rush then you can stay for a party. Pinkie said. We can celebrate the first humans in Equestria. I think I'm gonna like it here. Mabel smiled. We can stay for the party, but we probably have to go after. Dipper said. What? Why not BRO? Mabel asked. Because we have to get back to Grunkle Stan and Seuss, and Wendy. Oh, I see what this is about. Mabel smiled once more. You just want to go back to Wendy. Who's Wendy? Pinky wondered aloud. It's a girl that Dipper likes. Mabel, hush, he angrily told her. All the ponies and Mabel giggled. Dipper blushed, until Twilight spoke. I think I know someone who could relate. Twilight. There was shouting coming from a distance. Twilight. I think I hear him coming now. Spike ran up to the group out of breath, barely making out words. Twilight letter urgent. Celestia trouble. He handed a scroll to her, right before passing out from exhaustion. Twilight opened the letter, and began to read away from the group. The twins just stared at the dragon. They were both in awe. Cool. Is that like a pet dragon? Mabel asked. Spike's ears perked at the statement. Pet. I'm assistant number 1 to Twilight Sparkle. Who are these guys? Spike, this is Dipper and Mabel. They're humans. Pinky joyously introduced her new friends. You're adorable, Mabel said to him. You know I could an assistant. Sorry, I only work for Twilight. Right to Twilight. Twilight didn't answer. She was still with disbelief with the letter she had read. What word, Twee? Applejack asked. Listen to this letter, Twilight said. Urgent message to Twilight Sparkle. My most faithful student, I request that you and your friends immediately come to Canterlot. We are in trouble and we need your help. That's all that there is. The whole group was dumbfounded. What should we do? Rarity asked. We should go straight to Canterlot. Spike, I need you to stay here and watch the library. Twilight said. Also watch my friend Spike. Fluttershy put in. Dipper and maybe you'll have to come with us to Canterlot. After we get whatever is happening settled out, you can meet Princess Celestia. Twilight told the twins. They nodded in agreement. The group ran off. What do you think is happening? Mabel asked Applejack. I don't know, she said, but if Princess Celestia is calling for our help, it must be trouble. All of 8 of them got off the train at the station and ran quickly through Canterlot. There was not a single pony around. The city was deserted and had a gray fog to go with it. This can't be good, Rainbow said, seeing what happened to Canterlot. The group reached the Canterlot Castle entrance. Like the rest of the city, no guard ponies were at the door to let them in, but luckily it was unlocked, so they all quickly ran inside. This once, Twilight said. They ran to the throne room and opened the door. Princess Celestia was not inside, but someone else was. The ponies were greeted by a familiar voice. Why, hello there, Twilight Sparkle. Chapter 5, The New Rulers of Equestria. Trixie, Twilight shouted. And don't forget Lil Almy, came another voice from behind Trixie. The twins in unison shouted. Gideon. Wait, you know him? Rainbow asked. Yay, he our family's arch rival. He's been fighting our uncle for years. Yes, and now that you all 8 have arrived, you should know that Trixie and I have teamed up together to get revenge. Gideon explained. While we waited for you to figure out something was wrong, Trixie and Gideon have done much talking and plotting. Trixie remarked. What have you done with the princess? Twilight shouted. Well, she decided to step down from her position and she placed Gideon and Trixie as the new rulers of Equestria. The princess would never do such a thing. Applejack said. And how can you be rulers of anything? There's not any anywhere in Canterlot. Rarity said. Well, we sent them on a little vacation. Gideon said. To celebrate their new rulers. How did you even get here, Gideon? Dipper asked. Well, I was just minding my own business when your rotten winds kept following, and eventually found this place. Gideon found Trixie, and we teamed up to get revenge on all you for what you did. All the ponies exchanged glances. We didn't do anything, Rainbow Dash said. You were being all boastful and annoyed everybody. It does not matter, Trixie, now a bit angry, said. What does matter is that Trixie was shunned throughout all of Equestria, and she plans to get revenge on everybody. Is that right, Gideon? Yes, and after we plan to do a bit more back in Gravity Falls once we finish all of you. What is that supposed to mean? Mabel asked. You'll find out in good time. Trixie said. For now we'll give you a test. If you all pass we will return all the ponies back. But what if we don't pass? Pinkie Pie asked. Gideon and Trixie exchanged an evil smile. You'll see. Everyone gave an uneasy look. So with the test. Twilight asked. Gideon, if you'll do the honors. Trixie said. Gideon nodded and grabbed his amulet, and all of 8 of them were not levitating in the middle of the throne room. They tried to free themselves, but none of them were successful. What? How'd you get your amulet back? Dipper asked. Gideon didn't answer. He gestured to Trixie, who, in turn, used her magic to create a cage of average size in the room. Once there, Gideon placed all 8 of them in the cage. Let us go. Rainbow shouted. She right. Trixie said. We should at least give them a fighting chance. Gideon nodded in agreement. Must be fair, of course. He grabbed his amulet, and picked up Mabel, Twilight, Applejack, and Rainbow Dash out of the cage. He dropped them into the center of the room. Trixie, if you would be so kind. Trixie's horn lit up, and sent a beam of magic toward the 4. After a cloud of dust from the impact cleared, nothing but a bit of smoldering ash was left. You killed them. Dipper shouted. Why, of course not, little boy. Trixie said. Trixie just sent them on a little trip with the others. Now Dipper, I think you know why I decided to have you stay. Gideon started. I want that book. What? No. Dipper said. Gideon started to get angry. He grabbed his necklace, and the stained glass windows all shattered out of his fury. Give me the book. Gideon screamed. All right, easy, Dipper said, trying to calm him down. He reached into his vest pocket to find that he didn't have the book. I don't have it. Where is it? Gideon demanded. I probably left it in Gravity Falls. Dipper said. Gideon settled down. Fine. Come on, Trixie, we have more to discuss elsewhere. Indeed, Gideon, let us go continue in private. Trixie said, following him. Fluttershy started to get scared, but Pinkie Pie came to comfort her. It's okay, Fluttershy, those meanies are gone now. Dipper, what does they mean by the book? Rarity asked him. It's this book I found back at Gravity Falls. It has all these paranormal stuff in it. But why would they want it? Fluttershy tuned in. I don't know. But whatever the reason, it must be important. Where do you think the others are? Rarity asked. Maybe they're in Universe of All Pigs. Pinkie happily said. Dipper raised an eyebrow. Did Mabel tell you to say that? No, I was just sharing my thoughts. Pinkie replied. Hopefully they're safe. Rarity said. Now only if we could get out of this cage. Dipper stood at the edge of the cage, looking around the room, trying to figure out a means of escape. All there was in the room was broken glass all over the floor and the ash from the magic blast. Then suddenly Dipper got an idea. I've got it. Dipper exclaimed. The 3 ponies look up at him. Rarity, you're a unicorn. So you can use your magic to get us out? I can't. Not all unicorns have a lot of magic, just a small amount. Rarity exclaimed. I couldn't levitate this cage. It'd be far too heavy. Dipper was back to square one. If only I had my book, he said to himself. Suddenly Pinkie Pie had an idea. I got it. She then pulled out her party cannon. Dipper was a bit confused. You just happen to have a cannon with you? Pinkie nodded vigorously. Why? Dipper asked. Oh, I never leave home without my party cannon. Pinkie explained. Well, I guess that could work. It just needs to be fired 1,000,000 times. Dipper said sarcastically. Okie dokie, Loki. Pinkie fired her cannon. 1, she did it again. 2. Dipper sat on the edge on the cage next to Fluttershy and Rarity. I hope the others aren't in any trouble. Rarity said. 3, Pinkie said. The magic blast rang softly throughout the darkness. The 4 tried to look around but only saw darkness. Alright y'all, everyone tried to find each other. The 4 of them all moved in different directions, trying to find where the others were. Eventually they all did, and were glad to all have found each other. Okay girls, where in the world are we? Twilight asked. We're somewhere dark. Mabel responded. She means, what is the dark place? Applejack explained. I don't know then, Mabel said, but does anyone else feel that breathing? I feel it too. Rainbow Dash said. What is that? Twilight walked over to where Rainbow Dash was, and started to feel where the breathing was coming from. After she felt it, she was shocked at her find. We should probably be leaving now. Twilight nervously said. We don't know where the exit is. Rainbow said. What's wrong, Twee? What's making that breathing sound? Twilight was still backing up before answering. It was, she gulped, an Ursa Major. Oh, what? Mabel asked. The others tried to get here to be quiet. I'll explain later, but for now try to keep quiet, while we find the way out. Twilight quietly said as to not awake the beast. The four of them kept walking backwards until they eventually found the cave opening. After that they all ran through the Everfree Forest and into Ponyville. When they reached it, they found it to be similar to Canterlot as it was also completely deserted. Oh no. Twilight said. Chapter 6 Book 1. The group of four stood in the deserted Ponyville, with a bit of gloom overhead. They all looked around at what was left there. Trash and garbage just lied around in the street, like everyone had just vanished all at once. Wow, it's so empty here. It's echoey, Mabel said. Hello, she yelled with an echo in response. What do you think has happened, Shwee? Applejack asked her friend. I'm not sure what Trixie did, but her magic has gotten much more powerful. She must have done her share of studying. And what about the other little human? Rainbow asked. You mean Gideon? He has the magical thingy that can levitate stuff. Mabel said. Well, with both of their magical abilities combined, we'll need something much more powerful than that. Twilight said. Love. Mabel said. Teamwork. Applejack said. Brute force. Rainbow said. Nope. We'll use the elements of harmony. Twilight said. Are you sure, Twilight? Wouldn't that seriously hurt them? Applejack asked. Are you kidding me? Dash said. They started it. We need to finish it. Just 'cause they're hurting others don't mean we gotta do the same. Applejack told her. What's the elements of harmony? Mabel asked Twilight. They're Equestria's greatest defense against others. And Applejack does have a point. If we hurt them, then Trixie may not be able to bring back all the ponies. Let's just go to the library and see if we can think of a new plan. Twilight said. The group agreed and walked off to the library. As they walked, Mabel accidentally tripped over a rock, causing her to fall. As she did, the book with the 3 on it popped out of her sweater. The book caught Twilight's attention. Where did you get that book? Twilight asked. Mabel picked herself and the book up. Dipper found it in the woods. I forgot I still had this. Why do you ask? It's weird because I have a similar looking book back at the library. Twilight said. I'll show you. They walked into the library when they were greeted by a voice. Who's there? The voice came. Spike, is that you? Twilight responded. Twilight, you're all right. Spike came down the stairs. Where's the rest of the group? They're back at the castle with Trixie. Trixie? Spike questioned. Yay, she's gotten more powerful, and she now has a new friend. Who? It's some evil kid back from where Mabel is from. His name is Gideon. How are you still here, Spike? Rainbow Dash asked. Well, after you all left, and I went to take care of Fluttershy's animals. After that I came back here, but when I did, everybody was gone. The whole town was empty. I ran here and hid upstairs. I fell asleep until you guys came back. Did you see what made the ponies disappear? Twilight asked. He shook his head in response. That's okay. Right now I want you, Spike, to go get the book that looks like this. Twilight said, pointing to the book Mabel was holding. Right away, he said. He ran off and came back with the book. Twilight brought it over to the podium where she read books. The book was indeed similar to Dipper's book. Some difference between it was that instead of a hand, it had a horseshoe. It also was labeled with a 1, not a 3. It just talks about weird stuff in the Everfree Forest. Twilight said. She flipped through the pages. Some of the pages in the book were about timber wolves, a manticore, a sea serpent, ursas, parasprites, dragons, a cockatrice, and poison joke along with much more mysterious stuff in the forest. How come you never told us about this, Tweety? Applejack asked. Well, I have studied it about once or twice, but it never really seemed that important, she said. We should bring the book back to Dipper, he would want to know about this. Mabel said. I guess he could use it, after we settle out this problem. Twilight said. We are going to need a plan, to get back Equestria from those two. But how are we going to get the others? Mabel asked. They're probably guarding it. I don't think they would. Twilight said. I think they would be careless enough to leave them unguarded. But what if they catch us? They'll put us back in that cage. Applejack said. If they do, I'll maybe be able to lift the cage off, but it may also be too heavy. And what about their magic? Rainbow said. Well, I have a spell that could take a unicorn magic for an hour, but I have never tested it. Twilight said. As for Gideon, I'm not sure how we could take his magic. We just have to distract Gideon long enough for someone to take his amulet from behind. Mabel added. Will that sound like a good enough plan to take back Equestria? We'll just have to hope we get lucky. That sounds like a good plan. Spike said. I'll stay here and watch the library. Twilight grabbed her saddlebag, putting both Book 1 and Book 3 in it. All right, let's get going. The group walked outside of the library. Her horn lit up and transported them back to Canterlot. They stood right at the entrance to the castle and slowly opened the doors to not attract any attention. They entered and slowly walked back to the throne room, where the others should be. As they got closer to the entrance, they heard a cannon go off, and heard the voice of Pinkie Pie say 999,997. They heard it again with 999,998. They opened the door to the room, and looked inside to see the Dipper, Rarity and Fluttershy sleeping in one corner of the cage, and Pinkie fire her cannon again, and say 999,999. She started her cannon and fired. She shouted a million loudly, to wake the other three in the cage. Just as she did, Twilight used her magic to take all the nails out of the cage that were holding it together. As she did, the cage walls all fell to the floor. Wow, I can believe that worked. Dipper said. Rarity and Fluttershy nodded in agreement. I told it would work. Pinkie said. The others walked in to greet the others. Twilight. Pinkie said. The cage group ran over to greet the others. The group shared some conversation, as they two groups were now one again. What happened to you all? Rarity asked. Trixie transported us to an Ursa Major cave, but we got out before it awoke. Twilight said. Where's Trixie and Gideon? I'd like to give them a piece of my mind. Applejack said. Rainbow nodded in agreement. They left a while ago. They haven't come back since. Fluttershy said. They must be far. Dipper said, because they didn't hear the cannon or the cage walls falling. They must be planning what they're going to do next. Twilight said. While they do that, we're going to take back Equestria. The group all cheered in agreement. Wait, Rarity said. How are we going to do it? They have a lot of magic on their side. Don't worry, Mabel said. We thought the whole thing through. We just need luck. We can't win with just luck. Dipper said. Not just luck, but we have teamwork. Applejack said. That's right. So, here's the plan. Twilight started. Chapter 7, Putting the Plan into Action. Okay, do we all know the plan? Twilight asked. The group nodded, and they all moved to where they were supposed to be. Pinkie Pie and Mabel stayed put. Twilight gave them the signal to continue. They walked down the hall calling out for Gideon and Trixie. Gideon. Pinkie Pie yelled. Trixie. Mabel followed. They walked a little bit more calling out for them, until they saw the two of them walking. Hey, over here. They both screamed, signaling to them. What are you two doing here? Gideon said. How did you get out of Trixie's trap? Trixie said. No matter, they'll be back anyway. Gideon said. Can't catch us. Pinkie said as the two dashed off down the hall. Gideon and Trixie ran off after them, trying to catch them. Gideon grabbed his necklace, and using his power caught Mabel and Pinkie. You think you can stop Trixie and Gideon's plan? Trixie said. Gideon was about to say something when all of a sudden Rainbow Dash flew in out of nowhere, causing Trixie and Gideon to be knocked to the ground. While they were confused, Rainbow whistled, signaling to Fluttershy to grab Gideon's necklace. She grabbed it off Gideon and tossed it to Dipper. He put it on. My amulet. You have no idea how to use that, Dipper. Gideon scorned. Don't need to. Dipper replied. He clapped his hands to signal to Applejack. Applejack ran in. Hope you don't mind the pain. Gideon and Trixie looked at each other in confusing when Applejack bucked them back into the throne room. They both were still very lost. Then they heard the cage door closing, and they both saw what was happening when they saw Rarity and Twilight standing just outside the cage with them looking out. Now this may hurt, Twilight said as she cast the spell to temporarily take a unicorn's magic away on Trixie. She tried to cast a spell to get out of the cage, but was unable. What have you done to the great and powerful Trixie? Trixie demanded. Well, for the next hour you won't be able to use any magic. Twilight replied. Not so great and powerful now, right, Trixie? Rainbow mocked. The group shared a laugh. No, you cannot stop us. Gideon yelled. Just did. Mabel said. Now they're defeated, what should we do with them? Well, first, Twilight said. Tell me where all the ponies are. Trixie does not have to tell you anything. In an hour she'll have her magic back, and she and Gideon will be free once more. Well, I guess I should mention my spell to take a unicorn's magic permanently. Twilight said. You're bluffing. Trixie knows you don't possess that ability. Trixie said. Are you willing to find out? Twilight said. Trixie didn't say anything at first, but decided to just tell. Fine. All Trixie did is make all the ponies very tiny. Just cast a spell to make them all bigger. Twilight did as Trixie told her. It took a lot of her magic to make it. All of the others look outside of the throne windows to see that all the ponies that disappeared had returned back to Canterlot. They all were so happy to have got back Equestria. Now what about these two? Applejack said. I think I have something in mind. Twilight said as she used that last bit of magic as she teleported the cage with the two inside out of the castle. Where'd they go? Mabel asked. Someplace special. Twilight chuckled. The group was finally glad to finally be done with Gideon and Trixie. Happy words were exchanged between all of them. Hey Twilight, give Dipper the books. Mabel said. What do you mean? Dipper asked. Mabel said you'd like this book. Twilight said as she got the two books out of her saddlebag and brought them over to Dipper. He was shocked to see them. Where'd you get this one? Dipper said as he held book one. It's been in my library for years. It's just about the Everfree Forest and weird stuff inside. If you want you can take it. Twilight said. What's so important about these books? Applejack asked. I don't know, Dipper said, but Gideon wanted them, so there must be something important about them. Well, it could hold some important information. Twilight said. So maybe I should keep it here in Equestria, where Gideon would never find it. I guess that would be better, Dipper said. I mean, the book would probably be in the universe it is about. Wait, how come one of these books is here in Equestria, but another book is where you're from? Applejack asked. Oh, a very excellent question, Applejack. Came a voice from another side of the room. All the ponies froze where they were standing a turn to see a familiar mixed-match creature standing on the other side of the throne room. Discord. Twilight yelled. How did you get out of your stone imprisonment? Oh, the weather was just so wonderful outside I had to see it for myself. He replied. Stop with joking, Discord. If you got out, you can be put back in. Twilight said. I don't think so, Twilight. Not without the elements of harmony or Princess Celestia around you won't, Discord replied. What are you talking about, Discord? Applejack said. Well, if you were to look around you'd see the Princess Celestia isn't here. Discord said. They all looked around to see he was right. Where is she? Twilight demanded. Don't look at me. Discord said. It was Beatrix and Gideon who took over Equestria. Dipper and Mabel just stood there looking at the Draconicus, wondering if they should say anything at all. While on the subject of humans, I notice you have some with you right now, Discord said as he came over to where Dipper was. He lifted him up by the shoulders. Well, aren't you just adorable? He said. Dipper tried not to do anything out of fear that he would be hurt. Discord then turned his attention to Mabel. And aren't you just so colorful? I almost mistook you for a pony with your brightly colored clothing. Are you gonna hurt us? Mabel nervously said. Why, I wouldn't. A hair on your head, little girl, Discord said as he petted Mabel. So what are you up to, Discord? Rainbow Dash asked. Well, I was planning on taking over Equestria, but since Gideon and Beatrix beat me to it, I guess I'll settle for elsewhere. And where in the world would that place be? Applejack asked. Well, it's somewhere pretty far. So far it's not even in this universe, but why spoil the surprise, he replied. Since this place is rather far, I'll need some reading material. He came over to Dipper and Twilight. I hope you don't mind if I borrow these. He grabbed book 1 and book 3. Hey, if you know what's good for you, you will give those back. Rainbow said to Discord. Oh, I do know what's good for me, Discord replied. Gideon and Beatrix were simply after me revenge. I'm planning on a much bigger prize. Well, Discord started. It is getting rather late. I think I should be off. Discord unzipped an entrance into a swirling portal, not unlike the one the twins used earlier, out of thin air, and, with the 2 books, stepped into it. Well, goodbye everybody. It's been fun catching up. Discord disappeared into the portal as it closed behind him. Just as it closed, it reopened, and Discord stuck his head out. Oh, and I hope you two don't mind if I pay your Grunkle Stan a visit. He left, which trailed off as he went back inside the portal. Chapter 8, Back to the Falls. Thank you, come again, Grunkle Stan said as the last of the tourists left the mystery shack. He went back inside with the wad of cash. Suckers, he muttered to himself. Soos the handyman walked into the gift shop area. I'll finish sweeping the mystery shack. Mr. Pines, anything else I can do? Lego fix the toilets upstairs, Stan replied. Can't you? Soos saluted off. Wendy, put this money in the register, Stan said, tossing the cash to Wendy, which landed by her feet. I would, but I can't reach it, she said as she acted as if she really was. Hey, you seen those kids? They've been gone for like 5 hours. Stan asked Wendy. No, I haven't, she told him. Grunkle Stan grabbed a broom and started banging it on the ceiling. Soos, have you seen those kids? He shouted. Not today, Mr. Pines, Soos shouted back, followed by the flushing of the toilet. Then Wendy's cell phone started buzzing, indicating she got a text. Stan started swatting around his face. I think there's a fly in here. No, it's just my friends texting me to hang with them, Wendy said as she got up from behind the register. Texting? Stan questioned. Later, Stan, Wendy said as she left the shack. Grunkle Stan glared as his employee left. He sighed and walked over to the window that looked out into the pine forest. Then something caught his attention. Out of nowhere, a creature of a mix and match of animals appeared, standing just on the edge of the woods. What the heck is that? It's like someone beat up evolution, Grunkle Stan said aloud. He grabbed the broom again and hit the ceiling with it again. Soos, I need you to get rid of this weird animal dragon thing outside. It could scare tourists away. I would, Mr. Pines, Soos shouted, just as soon as I get my foot out of my toilet. Stan heard Soos scream, and a toilet flush. He walked outside with the broom. He approached the creature. Hey, get out of here, Stan said, waving the broom. Why, Stanford, my old friend, it's good to see you again, Discord said to Stan. What? How do you know my name? Stan asked. Stan, don't you remember your old pal, Discord? He said to Stan. Discord? I'm pretty sure I remember, if I knew you, but then again I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, Stan replied. Oh, of course I forget. How easily you humans can forget the most simplest of things, Discord said. Well, Stan, it's been fun catching up, but I have a lot on my plate to get back to. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you how nice it was to meet your niece and nephew. Stan perked up at this. You've seen Dipper and Mabel. Well, tell them they should probably get back to the shack. Don't worry, Stan, Discord said. I gladly put in the message. Discord snapped his fingers and disappeared out of sight. Well, that happened, Stan said as he walked back to the shack. Supercube, you need to calm down, Applejack said to Twilight. Calm down. How can I? Princess Celestia's still missing, and with her gun we can't get the elements of harmony. Plus we don't know where Discord is. Twilight shouted. Actually, I think I know where he is. Dipper put in. Everyone looked at him. He said he was going to go see our uncle, so he probably went to our universe. Great, but how do we get there? Rainbow asked. We just go through the portal we went through to get here, Mabel said. But where is it? Twilight asked. It's in the forest over there, Dipper said, pointing to the Everfree forest which was just in view. But how are we supposed to get there with these two? Applejack asked. What do you mean? Rarity asked. Well, we can't just walk through Canterlot in Ponyville with two humans. Do you know how everybody would react? Applejack said. Everyone agreed. Oh, I have an idea, Pinkie Pie said. Twilight can use her magic to turn Mabel and Dipper into ponies like us. I'm 100% on board with that plan. Mabel said. I guess, Dipper said, but you can turn us back. Dipper asked. I'm pretty sure that could work. Twilight said. Now Dipper and Mabel stand in the middle of the room, she said, gesturing to the area. Everyone else stand back. Twilight started to work her magic as Mabel was so excited, and Dipper was nervous. After Twilight cast that spell, a small cloud of dust appeared. As it settled, it traveled Mabel and Dipper, now in their pony forms. Mabel was very excited. This is the greatest day ever. As she examined her new body, her coat was of a dark purple, while Dipper was more of a yellowish-brown color. Dipper was struggling to stand on 4 legs, but Mabel was really good at it. All right, let's go, Twilight said as the 8 ponies left the castle back out into Canterlot. Hey Mabel, Dipper asked while trying to walk. How are you good at walking on 4 legs? I do it all the time in my human body, Mabel responded. All the ponies walked through Canterlot, trying not to attract any attention to the fact that Dipper and Mabel were humans, or that Princess Celestia was missing, and Discord was free. They all reached the train station. They walked onto the train, and got a private coach to sit in. So why do you think Discord took the books? Twilight asked Dipper. I have no idea, but if Gideon, Trixie, and Discord went through all this trouble to get them, it must be something important, Dipper replied. They all remained quiet until they reached Ponyville. When they got off, they all went back to Fluttershy's cottage. When they arrived, they made sure there were no other ponies around. Okay, we need to turn you back, Twilight said. She cast her magic, which thankfully worked, in turning them back to human. Darn, I enjoyed being a pony, Mabel said. So which way is the way to the portal? Applejack asked. It's this way. Follow me, Mabel told them. Aye, Captain, Pinkie Pie said. The group ventured through the Everfree forest back the way Dipper and Mabel had come. Eventually the twins led them to the cave with the portal. They all stared at it. Are you sure it's safe? Fluttershy asked. Of course it's safe. Dipper did it, and he was scared to do it, Mabel responded. I was not scared, Dipper angrily said. No scared people first then, Mabel said, gesturing to the portal. Dipper did and went back through. He was followed by everyone else. They all came out into the other cave. As they left, the strong scent of pine tree hit them. Very rustic, Rarity said. I like it, Pinkie said. It smells like pine trees. It is pine trees, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash said. Come on, we should go see our uncle, Dipper said. Dipper and Mabel again led the group through the path they took to the portal, which took them all the way back to the Mystery Shack. Fortunately, it looked as though Discord had yet to do any chaos around there to them. The group walked up to the shack entrance, and into the gift shop area. Grunkle Stan, Mabel shouted. Nobody answered as Mabel's voice echoed through the shack. Chapter 9. That's what friends do for each other. Grunkle Stan. Mabel shouted once more. Maybe you've asked if he's here like 10 times now. He's not here. Dipper told his sister. Do you think Discord got him? Mabel asked. He might have, Twilight said. She trailed off with the sounds of footsteps on the wood floor. Everyone froze where they stood. The footsteps started to grow louder with each second. Then they all saw a shadow approaching the gift shop area. The figure opened the curtain and walked in to reveal it was just Soos the handyman. Oh, hey Dipper. Hey Mabel. Soos joyously said. He stopped when he saw the ponies. Whoa, dudes, am I dreaming, or is this real life? This is not a dream, Soos. Dipper said, these ponies are real. Soos, this is Twilight, Applejack, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Fluttershy. Mabel said, gesturing to each pony as she introduced them. Hello sir, Twilight said. Whoa dude, you guys talk? Soos said with delight. Of course we talk, silly. Why wouldn't we talk? Pinkie asked. I don't know, usually everything talks in my dreams. Soos says. This is not a dream, Soos. Dipper told him again. Alright dude, no need to go cuckoo bananas. Soos calmed Dipper down. So what are you doing with ponies? We're looking for like a weird animal dragon thing, Soos. Mabel told the handyman. You know, now that you mention it, Mr. Pines mentioned something like that. Soos said. You've seen Discord? Applejack asked. And Grunkle Stan. Dipper continued. I didn't see the creature, but I think Mr. Pines just left not too long. Also Wendy left with her friends. So Grunkle Stan is safe. Mabel asked. Probably dude. Soos said. I think he's in the woods. The group left the shack and into the yard of the shack. Everything still seemed normal, but that could change in an instant. A rustling could be heard in the woods, which turned out to be Stan. The twins ran to greet him. Grunkle Stan. Mabel happily said. Dipper, Mabel, where have you two been? We went to a land of magical talking ponies. Mabel joyously responded. Stan gave a blank look to his niece. Dipper, where have you and your sister been? We were where Mabel said we were. Dipper told him. Where were you, Grunkle Stan? I went into the woods to look for you two. Grunkle Stan's attention was caught by the group of ponies. So talking ponies. Yes sir, Twilight said. My name is Twilight Sparkle and these are my friends. They introduced themselves one by one. Grunkle Stan watched with a mix of confusion and excitement. Grunkle Stan then had an idea. You know, I could open up an area for pony rides. I could charge kids $100 per ride. Grunkle Stan imagined what could be. Hey bud, you're not making an ebony bean a pony ride. Rainbow said. That's not important, Rainbow. Twilight said. Mr. Pines, have you seen a creature with a mixed match of animals come through here? You mean Discord? Stan said. Everyone said yes all together. Yeah, he said something about having a lot on his plate. Stan said. And indeed I do, came a voice from the back. Everyone knew it was Discord. They turned to see him standing smugly with them. Well, what in tarnation, are you planning, Discord? Applejack scorned. Why Applejack, if I just told you it would ruin the surprise. Discord says. He's right, Applejack, Pinkie said. You shouldn't ruin the surprise. Pinkie, he's not talking about a party plan. Rarity told the pink mare. What? Pinkie Pie sadly said. Don't worry Pinkie, Discord said. If you're so very interested in knowing my plan, I give you a glimpse. He snapped his fingers, sending all 10 of them to a cliff overlooking the main town area of Gravity Falls. All of them looked over to see the town was in chaos. The citizens were running around with them, not understanding what was happening. Dipper was able to see Wendy and her friends, followed by a van flying upside down. Wendy. Dipper said, reaching his hand out. She can't hear you, little boy, nor could you reach here from where you are. Dipper said nothing, as did everyone else, until Discord snapped his fingers, sending everyone back to the mystery shack. Well, with that done, I'm already halfway through my plan. Discord laughed evilly. Joke's on you, you didn't get the mystery shack. Mabel laughed along with Pinkie Pie. Probably because it's too dirty and dusty, if you ask me. Rarity said, well, even something seemingly worthless can hold great secret. Discord laughed. Just you wait, Discord. Twilight told him you'll be back into your prison before you know it. How is that? Twilight sparkle. Discord asked sleazily, you have neither the elements of harmony nor Princess Celestia. But why bother? I don't understand why you ponies bother. You're risking your lives to save some humans you barely know. I mean honestly. We're helping them, because that's what friends do for each other. Twilight said. They helped us with Trixie and Gideon, so we are helping them. Rarity continued. The twins shared a smile at the word, friend. Discord, however, became bored with the conversation. Ugh, you ponies and your friendship makes my stomach hurt. I can agree with that, all the helping and sharing makes my stomach hurt. Grunkle Stan put in. Discord got an idea. Why Stan, I think I can help with that. He came over to where Stan stood and put his finger on the old man's nose. A gray pigment came over Stan. You feel better, Stan? Why do I feel like donating money to charity? Stan said. Mr. Pines, what's wrong? Seuss asked worryingly. Oh, he's fine, just a personality change. Discord told the handyman. Well, I'd love to stay for more, but I must be on my way, before you stop me, he said mockingly, and vanished once more. The group was stunned. What do we do now? Dipper asked. I don't know. Twilight said. The ponies gasped. What do you mean, Sugar Cube? Well, we can't stop Discord without the elements, and we can't get to the elements without Princess Celestia, and we have no idea where Princess Celestia could be. So what are you saying? Rainbow asked. I think we should just give in. Again the ponies gasped. We can't just give up. Rarity told her. But, we can't do anything. I'm sorry, Dipper and Mabel. It's okay, Mabel told her friend, you at least tried. Everyone was really sad, none more that Seuss, but as the ponies were getting ready to leave, they heard an "oh." They turned to see that it was Fluttershy. No one understood why she said it. No. We can't just leave. The ponies were stunned to hear what she was saying. We can't just leave. Dipper and Mabel helped us when we barely met them, and now it's our turn to help them. As she talked, everyone's spirits began lifting. Discord may be hard to stop, but we work together to stop Gideon and Trixie. We can stop Discord too if we work together. By this point everyone, human and pony, was smiling. You said it yourself, Twilight, it's what friends do for each other. Fluttershy's right, we can't just give in. Rainbow said. Yes, she is. Twilight said, slightly embarrassed. So you guys are gonna stay? Mabel said happily. They all said yes in unison. Everyone grouped together for a group hug. Seuss was so happy he had tears in his eyes. Even Grunkle Stan joined due to his personality change. The hug was stopped when Dipper heard a familiar voice say hello. Wendy. He ran up to greet her. What? How are you here? It was crazy, Wendy said. I was in the car with my friends when this dragon thing flew in out of nowhere and started doing these crazy things. That's cool. Dipper said, love struck. Dude, these are the ponies he's after. Wendy asked Dipper. Wait, how did you know about the ponies? Mabel asked. Maybe she's psychic like Gideon. Pinkie Pie said. No, she told me. Wendy gestured to a figure behind her. As the figure approached them, it revealed itself as Princess Celestia. Princess. The pony said. Chapter 10, Princess Celestia's Return. Princess, Twilight said. Howdy. What I think Twilight is trying to say, Princess, Applejack interrupted, is how in darnation are you here? I could ask the same about all of you, Princess Celestia responded, but I suppose you are all here because of Discord terrorizing the town. Yes, Mrs. Princess, Dipper commented. I'm sorry, I never met any royalty before. There is no need to be nervous, Dipper, Princess Celestia said. I should formally introduce myself. Me too, I'm Mabel Pines, older twin sister to Dipper Pines. Mabel joyfully wrapped her arm around her brother, who was irritated at Mabel's age comment. I'm Seuss, Seuss put in, and I agree with what Dipper said about you being beautiful. Wait, when did I say? Dipper was cut off by Seuss putting his hand over his mouth. Thank you for the compliment, Celestia continued, and I suppose this is Mr. Pines. Hey, what? Grunkle Stan grunted due to being distracted. Princess, you still haven't told us how you got to this place. Rainbow Dash jumped in. Of course, Princess Celestia said. Well, let's see. It just after breakfast and I went back to the throne room, but no one was there, not even the guards. I was confused for a second, but didn't have much time to wonder as at that time Trixie and Gideon had burst through the door. I didn't understand what they were doing, and I didn't have any time to think as Gideon had trapped me with his amulet's magic. I could not defend myself, and then Trixie used her magic to send me to Gravity Falls. So it was Trixie and Gideon who sent you here, Twilight said. Yes, but at first arrived I had not figured out where I was. I landed in a pile of garbage with numerous other like it around me as well. To make the situation worse, my wings were damaged, and magic were not working properly, and I could not return to Equestria. I did not know what I would do, but I was fortunate to meet a friendly man with a very long beard wandering in through the garbage. Dipper and Mabel knew she was talking about Old Man McGucket. What happened after that, Princess? Rarity asked. This man introduced himself as McGucket, and helped me with my wings, and told me very humorous stories, while my magic was slowly returning. I was planning to return to Equestria, but then I heard the people screaming, and I saw Discord was terrorizing the town. I could not stop Discord long, but I did run into Wendy who attempted to hide in the garbage. She told me who she was, and I brought her back to where she said it would be safe, but I did not expect to see you here. We already stopped Trixie and Gideon back in Equestria, Twilight said. But Discord arrived at the castle, and took mine and Twilg's books. Dipper jumped in. What books? Celeste asked. I believe they mean these books, a familiar voice answered. They all turned to see Discord. Discord, what have you done to this town and the elements? Celestia demanded. I did a bit of remodeling on the town. Do you like it? No. I disappointed, Discord playfully said, and if you want the elements, here. He snapped his finger and a large, wooden crate appeared which held each of the elements. However, Celestia, I think you'll find the elements to be of no use, he said as he patted the two books he held under his arm. Celestia's eyes were stricken with shock at the sight of the books. Well, Celestia, I do so love chatting with you. I'm extremely busy, and I must get back to work. I do hope you understand. Discord snapped his fingers and vanished. Which books does Discord have? Celestia eagerly asked. My book 1 and Dipper's book 3. Twilight responded. Book 1 and 3. Grunkle Stan questioned, but nobody had heard him. What are we going to do now? Fluttershy asked. What Discord said is true, Celestia told them. The elements alone will be of no use. Alone. Are there more elements we get? Applejack asked the princess. Yes, there are. Well, let's go back to Equestria and get them, Rainbow put in. They are not in Equestria, but here in Gravity Falls. Celestia said. When you say elements, do you mean, like, oxygen and stuff? Wendy asked. No elements of friendship, silly, Pinkie Pie happily told Wendy. Friendship. Never heard of it. Stan scratching his head. And the elements of Gravity Falls are right here, Celestia moving the conversation along by gesturing toward Dipper, Mabel, Seuss, Wendy, and Grunkle Stan. These 5 do demonstrate the symbols of friendship. We do. Mabel wondered. Yes, Wendy told me about you, and I see now the elements exist here as well. Dipper, you represent the element of honesty. Mabel represents laughter, Seuss represents generosity, Wendy represents kindness, and Mr. Pines represents loyalty. Are you sure, Princess? Dipper asked, unsure about what they represented. Yes, I'm sure, Princess Celestia assured him. So, let me get this straight. To defeat Discord we're going to use 2 elements of harmony. Rainbow Dash asked, still confused. Yes. But how do we get the necklaces thingies for them? Pinkie asked. Celestia did not answer, but lowered her head to the element of harmony in the crate, and, with her magic, raised all the necklaces up. With it, each one split into two, but each one now had a new charm on it. The honesty necklace had a blue pine tree. The laughter necklace had a shooting star. The generous necklace had a question mark. The kindness necklace had an ice bag, and the loyalty necklace had the symbol on Stan's fez. All 11 necklaces went to the respective person or pony. Grunkle Stan admired his necklace. "I like these gold necklaces." "Yeah, they're so shiny," Mabel put in, while dazzled at the necklace. "I know, right?" Pinkie said with a dazzled side on her necklace. "But Princess, what about the magic element?" Twilight asked. Celestia took the magic necklace, that now had a star with the eye on it. "I had thought Gideon would take this position, but I'll have to step in to help," she said as she placed the necklace around her own neck. "Now it is time that we stop Discord." The group was now ready to take down Discord. Chapter 11, Safe and Sound. Celestia called out for Discord. "Princess, why must you be rude? When I told you I want..." He was halted at the sight he saw and laughed. "Two elements of harmony." "Celestia, did you use a forbidden spell again? You know what punishment can come from that." "My punishment will not match yours, Discord. I must do what I do to protect these innocent people from your chaos." "Whatever, even with two elements of harmony, you cannot stop me." Discord laughed. "Don't bet on it, Discord." Twilight interrupted. "We have twice as much friendship now," Mabel continued. "Yes, I suppose with that much friendship you could stop 10 or even 100 Discords." Discord said. "Just you wait," Applejack scolded. This was now the cue for them to put the elements in action. The elements took over, and were attempted to return Discord to his stone imprisonment, but nothing had happened. "Very good job," Discord sarcastically responded with a slow clap. "What the heck happened?" Rainbow said. "Why didn't it work?" "I'm not sure," Celestia said. "Did we all get the element test to function properly?" "I don't know how mine works," Seuss said. "I don't even know what is really happening, or if this is even a dream," Grunkle Stan added. "Come on y'all," Applejack said. "We need you, if we gonna defeat Discord. You just need to concentrate on the friendship and love you have for one another," Princess Celestia told them. This made them all realize what they had to do now. What's going on?" Discord was awoken from his sleep he took during this. "Do you want another go at defeating me, as you put it?" The group walked to where Discord was standing, and they all closed their eyes. Then all of a sudden, a rainbow of lights burst from the group, and traveled toward Discord. No, it's not possible. I was not responsible for this. It was Bill," but his sentence was not able to be finished as the elements had put him back into his stone imprisonment. They'd done it. They were able to the friendship they shared and used it to defeat Discord. Stan was still in shock from what happened, but the rest had settled with what had happened. "Today has been interesting," Dipper said. "I had fun, and I made some new friends," Mabel said. "I cannot thank you enough for helping me with Trixie, Gideon, and Discord. We are now all safe," Princess Celestia told all of them. "And sound," Pinkie added. The chaos that was all over Gravity Falls had ceased. They all celebrated the victory of friendship, but also knew the ponies had to return to their universe. "I gonna miss you all," Pinkie said. "Maybe you could visit Equestria again." "Could they visit, Princess?" Rarity asked. "I suppose if you all want to, it'd be okay," Celestia said. "And if you, Seuss or Wendy, want to come as well, you're welcome to." And you to Mr. Punch was cut off when she saw that he was not around, and neither were the necklaces. Could I visit you, Princess?" Seuss, raising his hand, to asked. "Of course you can," Princess Celestia said as Seuss tried to hide his blush. "What about the books?" Dipper asked. "The books will return to their proper universe to avoid any more possible disasters," Celestia said. Twilight grabbed her book from the base of Discord and Dipper grabbed his. Goodbyes were exchanged all around, and the twins watched as their new pony friends returned back to their world. "Wait, I feel like we're forgetting something," Dipper said to his sister. "Dipper. Mabel. Get me out of this cage." Gideon's voice echoed in the cave. "The great and powerful Trixie needs to use the bathroom." Trixie also commented. The two were both silent when they turned to see Ursa Major growling behind them. Whatever, if it was important, we would have remembered it. Mabel said as the twins walked returned back to the shack.
That's all, Zipsters! Like and subscribe.